Good morning, friends. This is Dr. Ghanshyam Chauhan. I welcome you in my YouTube channels and welcome again in the session of human anatomy and physiology. So, in this session, we will discuss about the hemoglobin. So, this is the another presentation on blood, and in this presentation, we will start with the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is red colored oxygen carrying pigment in the RBC. It consists of protein globin united with the pigment heme. Structure, if you will see structure, it consists of 4 globin molecules, means there is the pair of alpha and beta chains, peptide chains of proteins are available. So the name of protein is globin. So each alpha chain consists of 141 amino acids and each beta chain consists of 146 amino acids. So there are 2 chains of alpha and 2 chains of beta, means 2 globin peptide chains are available here. So here you can see beta 1, beta 2, this is alpha 1, alpha 2. So there are 2 pairs of globin peptide chains of protein are available into one hemoglobin molecule. 4 heme molecules. So oxygen, transport of oxygen, so it do the function of transport of oxygen, these 4 heme molecules, because they are oxidized and deoxidized. So iron is required for oxygen transports, because this iron molecule is going to be oxidized. Each chain is associated with the one heme group. There are 4 heme to 1 molecule of hemoglobin, so it can carry 4 molecules of oxygen, means our one hemoglobin molecule is going to be carry 4 oxygen molecules, because it is having 4 heme, it is having 4 iron molecules. So each iron molecule will bind with 1 oxygen. So they will take oxygens and they liberate oxygens when they are exchanging it with carbon dioxide. So here you can see this is the structure in which the oxygen can be attached. So here we can see this is the alpha chain of globin, this is the beta chain, alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 1 and beta 2. So there are 4 globin chains are available into the hemoglobin molecules. Again, if you will see, there are the 4 heme molecules which has been attached, and in this structure at the center point you will find the iron molecule. To this iron molecule, the various attachments are there of various organic molecules, they can be attached, and where there are the 4 different sites are there where the oxygen can be attached and they can be liberated and attached constantly. Normal values at birth 23 gram per dl, since RBC count is more. So at birth if you see the RBC count is more as compared with the normal. At the end of 3 months it will become 10.5 gram per dl, since infant is milk feed with devoid of iron, means if the infant is taking the milk from the mother, so at that time his RBC or his hemoglobin can be declined. After 3 months hemoglobin increases gradually, because the respiration system, if it has been started by its own, so by our respiratory system and cardiac system they are able to get the oxygen, and due to which the hemoglobin and the iron percentage can be increased, and the end of the 1 year, so it will become 12.5 gram per dl. And at the adult, if you will see it, the normal values are 14 to 18 grams per dl in case of males. Why it is high in case of males? Because the males are having the hormone testosterone. The testosterone is having capability to increase the hemopoiesis, and due to which in males the percentage of hemoglobin is more as compared with the females. In females it is 12 to 15.5 grams per dl. Why it is less? there is lack of the testosterone, and another factor is they are having periods due to the menstrual cycle, due to that menstruation, so they have to release that blood in each end of menstrual cycle, and due to which the iron also will be lost from the body. Clinically, 12 to 18 grams per dl irrespective of sex is regarded as a 100% hemoglobin. Some definitions of hemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin. When hemoglobin reacts with the oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin, means whenever the hemoglobin will react with oxygen, it will become oxyhemoglobin, and this oxyhemoglobin is ready to release that oxygen to the respective cells where it requires the oxygens. Affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen is influenced by the pH, means if pH increases or decreases, it affects on the release of your oxygen, and also temperature and concentrations of 2,3 diphosphoglycerate 2,3 DPG in the RBC, a product of metabolism of glucose. So these are the key elements which influences the release of oxygen to the Hb or its affinity to the Hb, means their attachment to the Hb and their release from the hemoglobin. It can be influenced by this pH, temperature and concentration of 2,3 diphosphoglycerate. Now carbaminohemoglobin. So carbon dioxide reacts with the hemoglobin to form the carbaminohemoglobin. So this carbaminohemoglobin is nothing but the hemoglobin with carbon dioxides, and it is also called as deoxyhemoglobin, means it's having the carbon dioxide hemoglobin, it don't have any oxygens. Reduced hemoglobin. Hemoglobin from which oxygen has been removed, means it is a hemoglobin when it don't have any oxygen, and at that point that hemoglobin is ready to take the CO2, carbon dioxide, and after that it will become the carbaminohemoglobin. Carboxyhemoglobin. Carbon monoxide reacts with the hemoglobin to form carboxyhemoglobin. What is carboxyhemoglobin? When our CO, means carbon monoxide, will bind with the hemoglobin, it is called as carboxyhemoglobin. Affinity of hemoglobin for carbon monoxide is 210 times more than the affinity for oxygens. That's why the carbon monoxide will bind very fastly, very efficiently as compared with the oxygen, because oxygen having less affinity than carbon monoxide, which consequently displaces oxygen on hemoglobin, thus reducing the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. So suppose if the number of carbon monoxide is going to be increased in your body, so it will very fastly will reduce your oxygen carrying capacity, and person may have less percentage of oxygen in his body, means person may suffer from the hypoxia. What is hypoxia? When our oxygen level of our blood is going to be declined, that typical condition is called as hypoxia. So it may leads into the hypoxia. Methemoglobin. When reduced or oxygenated hemoglobin is exposed to various drugs or oxidizing agents, the compound is called as methemoglobin. So when reduced or oxygenated hemoglobin is exposed to the various drugs or oxidizing agents, so that typically it is called as methemoglobin. There are various disadvantages. It cannot unite reversibly with the gaseous oxygen, means reversible reaction is not possible. Dark colored when present in large quantity in circulation, it mimics the cyanosis. When there will be dark color of your blood will be there, so it will show the condition like cyanosis. What is cyanosis? When we are having less quantity of oxygen or oxygenated hemoglobin in our body, that condition is called as cyanosis. Or we are having more CO2 in our blood, in our hemoglobin, so that condition is called as cyanosis. So it mimics the condition like cyanosis, means we are lack of oxygen. Functions: facilitate transport of oxygen from lungs to the tissues, Next is facilitate transports of CO2 from tissue to the lungs. In this case, both the transportations are very important. Either transportation of oxygen from lungs to the tissues, means all your body tissues for their functions they require oxygen, and once they use that oxygen, it can get converted into the CO2, and that CO2 can again get back or revert back toward the lung for exchange of gases. So these two processes are very important, and these processes are complementary with each other. They are depends on each other. They are directly proportional to each other. Acts as an extended acid base buffer. Being a protein, it is reversible for 70% of buffering capacity of whole blood. Now we will discuss regarding the synthesis of hemoglobin. Being to be produced during pro-erythroblast stage of RBC cycle. These erythroblast or pro-erythroblast are immature cells, and they are produced from the pluripotent cells, and these cells are responsible for production of RBC. So it begins to produce during pro-erythroblast stage of RBC cycle. The synthesis takes place in the mitochondria and ribosome. These are the two places where the synthesis will take place by a series of biochemical reactions. In the mitochondria, the synthesis of the heme portion, it is a heme portion, the portion which contains iron, which contains the globin, 4 molecules of globin, that typical portion is called as heme portions of hemoglobin takes place. So the synthesis of heme portion takes place in the mitochondria. Here heme synthesis begins with the condensation of glycine and succinyl CoA to form a delta amino linoleic acid. It is also called as ALA. So the synthesis begins with the condensation of glycine and succinyl coenzyme A, and which forms the delta amino linoleic acid. It is called ALA. This ALA then leaves the mitochondria and form porphyrobilinogen through a series of reaction forms coproporphyrinogen. This molecule then return to the mitochondria and produce photoporphyrin. So the porphyrin is the major coloring agents. It is the agents which form the chrome. Chrome is nothing but the color of our RBC. It is red colored. So it can be produced by this protoporphyrin. This protoporphyrin then combined with the iron to form the heme. So this protoporphyrin then lastly combined with the iron, it forms the heme, and it gives red color to our hemoglobin. Heme then exits the mitochondria and combines with the globin molecule, which is synthesized in the ribosomes, because ribosomes are responsible for production of protein molecule. So these globins, there 4 chains of globin has been synthesized into your ribosomes, and they can combine with this heme molecule and they will form the hemoglobin. Heme plus globin, it is called hemoglobin. So globin from ribosome and heme from this protoporphyrin. Now by this reaction you can understand, in this figure in very good manner it has been shown. So transferrin, what is transferrin? Transferrin is nothing but the carrier protein for iron, for heme. So it can carry that protein from the liver toward the mitochondria, and this is the transferrin cycle. So when the carrier protein that transferring that heme, it liberates that heme at this point, and whatever the ferritin is there, again it is the store form of iron, again it will come here, and this free iron will go toward the mitochondria. So in mitochondria, this glycine plus B6 plus succinyl coenzyme A, which will develop the delta ALA, and this ferrous iron or Fe will produce the heme molecules. There are four Fe molecules are there, and they are responsible for production of protoporphyrin, and this protoporphyrin will bind with the heme and they are producing the red chrome or red color. And after that, if you see, this ALA will able to produce the porphobilinogen, and this porphobilinogen will get converted into the uroporphyrinogen, and this uroporphyrinogen is going to develop into the coproporphyrinogen. So this coproporphyrinogen again get converted into the protoporphyrin, and this protoporphyrin will bind with the heme, will give red color. And lastly, this will, now it is ready to join with the next molecule. Now we will see the journey of these amino acids. Now from the ribosomes, in ribosomes the protein molecule will develop. So with the help of these amino acids in ribosome, they are producing these alpha and beta chains, alpha and beta peptide chains, alpha 1, alpha 2, beta 2, beta 2. So they are producing the 4 chains of globin molecules. Globin is nothing but the protein molecules which have been synthesized into your ribosomes. And after that, after formation of this globin molecule, which binds with the heme, which has been produced into our mitochondria, and this heme plus globin, they will produce the hemoglobin. So in this fashion, the hemoglobin molecule can be synthesized, can be produced in our body. Now fate of hemoglobin in the body. Now how it will develop, that you can understand again once again. So here hemoglobin, this hemoglobin molecule, so it is produced from globin and heme. So when the hemoglobin will split apart, it will develop into 2 parts. One is globin and another is heme. So in the tissue macrophage system, so it will develop into 2 parts. Globin is nothing but the protein parts. It enters into the amino acid pools. And if you see this globin, which remaining parts of this, the globin will go into the respective muscles, respective place where it can be used in the form of amino acids, and it can be developed into the muscles, or it will develop into the various enzymes or hormones. And whatever the split part is there, heme. So this heme along with this ferrous, it can be stored into the liver in the form of ferritin. It is another form of ferrous or iron, it is called ferritin, and which combines with the apoferritin tissue protein, and due to which it will get converted to the ferritin, and the remaining part is reused for the synthesis of hemoglobin. Means whatever part they are required, how much percentage of heme required for RBC production, it will be go for synthesis of the hemoglobin, and the remaining part can be get stored into our liver. Constantly this process are going on, and whenever we are not taking iron, we are not taking intake of iron, in that case this stored form can be released and can be reused for the production of hemoglobin. And whatever the remaining part is there from your RBC, so it can be oxidized by heme oxygenase, and it can be get converted to the biliverdin, and the biliverdin can be reduced by the biliverdin reductase, and this enzyme is responsible for conversion of biliverdin. This biliverdin is yellow colored pigment. This biliverdin get converted into the bilirubin by the enzyme biliverdin reductase, and this is the yellow to pale green colored pigments, so it is called bilirubin. So from here it is the yellow colored pigment has been developed, it is called bilirubin. So that's why if you are having high concentration of bilirubin into your blood, so your skin will become pale yellow. It is a symptoms of hepatitis or jaundice. So jaundice can be easily determined by concentration of bilirubin present in our body. Now there are varieties of hemoglobin that we will see one by one. In that, first is adult hemoglobin. It is also called as HbA. There are two types, hemoglobin A and hemoglobin A2. Hemoglobin A contains alpha 2 beta 2, hemoglobin A2 contains alpha 2 delta 2. Here the beta chains are replaced by the gamma chains. Beta chains are replaced by the delta chains. The delta chains also contains 146 amino acids, but 10 individual amino acids differ from both in the beta chains. It produces no abnormality and is regarded as a normal hemoglobin. The HbA appears in the fetus after 5 months of intrauterine life, when bone marrow begins to functions. Now here we will discuss regarding the fetal hemoglobin. Now fetal hemoglobin means the hemoglobin of our infancy. In the fetus condition, what type of hemoglobin has been developed, that we will discuss here. So that fetal hemoglobin, it contains the 2 alpha and 2 gamma types of hemoglobin. So the structure is same as HbA except that beta chains are replaced by the gamma chains. The gamma chains are also contains 146 amino acids but have 37 amino acids that differ from those in the beta chains. It is much more resistant to the action of alkaline than HbA. The HbF has greater affinity for oxygen. If you see, it is having more affinity for oxygen because of poor binding to 2,3-DPG to the gamma polypeptide chain. So it can take much larger volume of oxygen than HbA in low oxygen pressures, because it is having high affinity for oxygen, due to which it can take large volume of oxygen than HbA at low oxygen pressure also. Lifespan is less than 80 days compared to that of the HbA, it is 120 days. Now hemoglobin S, it is also called as HbS. When HbS is reduced, it becomes much less soluble than the HbA. So the hemoglobin participates into crystals within RBC. So the hemoglobin can participate in the crystals within RBC, and it's causing the following: damages cell membrane, producing increased fragility of RBC. If the RBC cells is going to be damaged, so it can increase the fragility of RBC, means RBC can be spoiled, it can decode its shape, so there can be change into the shape of RBC, and crystal elongated and RBC RBCs become sickle shaped, which decrease the blood flow to the tissue due to sickling. So when the crystals elongated and RBC become sickle shaped, which decrease the blood flow to the tissues due to the sickling, and this is the called sickle shaped, means it is elongated, shaped like kidneys. It will develop into the kidney shape. Why it develop? Because when we are taking this RBC, and when the RBC is going to be developed into the abnormal RBC, when this RBC is generated abnormally, and due to which what will happen, when we are taking the oxygen from this RBC, so it loses its structure, it loses its shape, and it become the sickle shape. Once it develop into the sickle shape, it will become abnormal, completely abnormal, and due to which we won't find it, or we won't recognize it as a RBC. It will recognize it as a pathogens, or it will recognize as a other than RBC, and due to which it won't do function of RBC, due to which it will decrease the blood flow to the tissue due to the sickling, and this causes the RBC to become more fragile, producing severe anemia called sickle cell anemia. Finally, patient dies within few days due to the severe anemia and secondary anemia. Erythrocytes, it is also called as red blood corpuscles. The RBC is a circular, bioconcave and non-nucleate disc. The discs are having diameter of 7 to 8 micrometers, and if you will see, the mature red blood cells have simple structure. Their plasma membrane is both strong and flexible. The RBC cell membrane contains circular pores. Between cells lies contractile layers of lipoproteins. The spectrin, which maintain the shape and flexibility of RBC membranes. So their plasma membrane is both strong and flexible, which allows them to deform without rupturing as they squeeze through the narrow capillaries. As you see, cells glycolipids in the plasma membrane of RBC are antigens that account for various blood groups such as ABO and RH groups. RBC lack nucleus and the other organelles and can neither reproduce nor carry on extensive metabolic activities. The spectrin also contains the specific blood group antigens. Now if you see its physiology of RBC, the red blood cells are highly specialized for their oxygen transport functions, because transportation of oxygen is the major function of our RBC. Mature RBC have no nucleus. All their internal space is available for oxygen transport. Because RBC lack mitochondria and generate ATP anaerobically, they do not use up any of the oxygen they transport. Even the shape of an RBC facilitates its function. A biconcave disc has a much greater surface area for the diffusion of gas molecules into and out of the RBC than would say sphere or a cube. Each RBC contains about 250 millions of hemoglobin molecules. A hemoglobin molecules, as we have discussed earlier, also consist of a protein called globin and composed of 4 polypeptide chains, 2 alpha and 2 beta. A ring like non-protein pigments called heme is bound to each of the 4 chains. At the center of each heme ring is the iron that can combine reversibly with 1 oxygen molecules, allowing each hemoglobin molecule to bind 4 oxygen molecules. Each oxygen molecule picked up from the lungs is bound to the iron. So in this fashion, at each transportation, at each communication with the lungs, we are exchanged with the 4 molecules of oxygen with CO2. We are giving 4 CO2 and taking more oxygens. As blood follows through tissue capillaries, the iron oxygen reaction reverses. Hemoglobin releases oxygen, which diffuses first into the interstitial fluid and then into the cells. The composition, if you will see, it is having 62.5% of water and 35% of hemoglobin and 2.5% of sugars, lipids and proteins and enzymes. Hemoglobin also transports about 23% of total carbon dioxide, a waste product of metabolism. The remaining carbon dioxide is dissolved into the plasma or carried as a carbonate ions. That's why there is a role of this carbonate ions, there is role of this pH for the speed of attachment of oxygen to the hemoglobin molecule. Blood flows through the tissue capillaries, pick up the carbon dioxides, some of which combines with the amino acids in the globin part of hemoglobin. As blood flows through the lungs, the carbon dioxide is released from hemoglobin and then exhaled. In this fashion, it can be exhaled and inhaled. So whatever the CO2 is there, it can be thrown outside and it is exhaled, and whatever the oxygen is there, it can be taken inside your lungs and it can be inhaled. In addition to its key role in transporting oxygen and carbon dioxide. Hemoglobin also plays a role in the regulation of blood flow and blood pressure. The gaseous hormone nitric oxide, NO, it is also called as nitric oxide. So that nitric oxide is having great role into the process of our blood vessels. They produced by the endothelial cells that line blood vessels. They bind to the hemoglobin under some circumstances. The hemoglobin releases nitric oxide, NO. The released nitric oxide causes the vasodilation. This NO is responsible for the vasodilatation of our blood vessels. These are blood vessels are smooth muscles, and these NO causes the dilatation of our blood vessels and increase in the blood vessel diameter, and which gives the space to incorporate, to get that blood inside the blood vessels. It gives the sufficient space to enter that blood inside the blood vessels, and that occurs when the smooth muscles in the vessel wall relaxes. Vasodilatation improves blood flow and enhances oxygen delivery to the cells near the site of NO release, nitric oxide release. Red blood cells also contain the enzyme carbonic anhydrase, it is also called as CA, which catalyzes the conversion of carbon dioxide and water to carbonic acid, which in turn dissociate into H plus and HCO3 minus bicarbonates. The entire reaction is reversible and is summarized as follows: CO2 means carbon dioxide plus H2O means water, arrow under the influence of carbonic anhydrase Ca, it will produce the H2CO3, it is nothing but the carbonic acid. Again reversible arrow, that carbonic acid will develop into the H plus means hydrogen ion plus HCO3 minus, which is bicarbonate ions. So in this fashion there is production of H plus means hydrogen ion and the bicarbonate ions. In this reaction is significant for two reasons. One is it allows about the 70% of carbon dioxide to be transported to the blood plasma from tissue cells to the lungs in the form of HCO3. And second point is it also serves as an important buffer in the extracellular fluid. So in this fashion we have discussed the points of RBC in this today's presentation. The remaining part we will see in the next lecture. If you have any queries regarding this lecture, you can ask me in the comment box. See you then. Bye.